Today, we're looking at Krishna's Pacha Avuri. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Krishna's Pacha Avuri is a green ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Pierre Cardin President with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we look at the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see a very, very light green across the bottom that pushes up. We start to see some yellows occur. We then see a green that I don't think is actually a mixing of the blue and that yellow. I think that's its own green. And then the blue at the top. It's very nice. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And there is almost no difference between the two of them. The only difference that I am spotting is how the line across the bottom looks a little bit darker and more there. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles it very well. That extra fine stays about an extra fine. It doesn't become blurry. It's very easy to read. I feel safe using it in a note-taking situation. Water reactivates and is lifting most all of this ink. You see the beginnings of the white of the paper trying to come through, which does make me say that water is all that's going to be needed. Pen Flush did nothing more than water. Nothing less, but nothing more. Now, there's a couple odd color spots, and I think that was a transfer from my paper towel when I went to pick it up. But I'm not seeing the Pen Flush do anything more than water did. Bleach, as is normal, took it entirely off the paper, but there should be no need to use a 1/3 bleach solution to get this out of your pen. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5. with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Krishna's Pacha Avuri has an average viscosity of 2.33, making it average. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper with the extra fine and medium nib. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Krishna's Pacha Avuri has an average dry time of 11 seconds, making it a faster drying ink. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in bottle form back when I ordered a whole bunch of these Krishna inks. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X 450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X 750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and the shading on this ink is amazing. Really, just look at the whole page. It's like camouflage in front of you. It's that camouflage shading that is so nice. Super light to super dark. So nice. Extra fine. Same exact tones that we see with the 1.1. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, camouflage shading. It's beautiful. I can't even point out all of the shading because there's just so much of it. Only 6 seconds to dry. The medium, same exact tone that we saw with the extra fine and that we saw with the 1.1. No feather spread, halo sheen. The shading is amazing all over the place. There's so much you just can't even point it out. You move the tiniest bit and there's shade difference. 12 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both showed us no color variation, and it lied because there was a ton of it up here. But it's such a light tone of green that if you smear it, you could not recover it. Tomoe River. No bleeding, we get ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread. It has halo in all of the darker areas. It's haloing. It has no sheen and it has beautiful shading. The extra fine has the same tones that are going on with the 1.1.
It has no feather spread. It has haloing in the darker areas. So like on K where it's much darker, some halos. On the H of the, where it's much darker, some halo. It has no sheen. It has beautiful shading here. Still holding on to that shading. Not as much as we saw with Clairefontaine or that we're going to see with other papers, but it's still here. 10 seconds to dry. Medium, same tone that we see with the extra fine. No feather spread. We do get some haloing in the darker areas like we see in the K and quick. We see it in the. We see it in the again. So we do get some haloing spots. There's no sheen, but there's beautiful shading. Not as much shade as we've seen with the other paper, with Clairefontaine. But there is some beautiful shading still going on here. Like you see quick starts dark, gets lighter, gets dark again. Brown starts dark and gets light. Fox starts light and gets dark. Nice. 19 seconds to dry. The extra fine and the medium scrubby both show us no color variation, although we're getting it up here. And again, I don't even want to blame the paper because this base tone is so light, I don't think you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Rhodia. These are not bleed spots. These are from the page underneath. That's my being too sloppy, too fast on putting a piece of paper down on top of a just written one. But it has no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo, sheen. This shade is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous on this ink. Super light to mid-tones all the way through, back and forth. We're back to that camouflage shading. Too hard to point it all out. The extra fine has the exact same tones as the 1.1 with no feather spread, halo sheen, beautiful shading all the way through. Camouflage. You can't even point it out. There's so much. 7 seconds to dry. Now the medium gets slightly darker as a tone, and I actually prefer it here. I've not really preferred the tone of this green all the way through the writing, but here it's much more manageable for my eyes. The medium has no feather spread, halo sheen. It still has beautiful shading. It's not that camouflage shading anymore, but it's like quick, starts dark, it gets to a mid-tone, gets dark again. Brown starts dark to mid-tone to dark. Fox starts light and goes to dark. It's beautiful. 14 seconds to dry. The scrubbies, again, both of them show us no color variation, although we saw tons. And the smear test, I don't think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Yellow Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. Didn't expect it. I just want to know what the tone is going to do to the tone of the ink. It's not good things. It lightens it up. It lightens it up. So this is a more translucent ink. And I do not like what it does on the yellow paper. The camera doesn't like what it does on the yellow paper. It's that hard to read. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen. We do have some shading, some of the same shading we saw before, not as obvious because the lighter tones are a little gone away. The extra fine is the same tones that we see with the 1.1. No feather spread, halo sheen. We still get shading, not as good a shading as we saw on the white paper. Like on quick, it starts dark, gets light, gets dark again. On brown, the R is the darkest letter of the word. On over, E is the darkest letter of the word. So it's nice that it's happening there. 7 seconds to dry. The medium gets slightly darker as a tone. It has no feather spread. No halo, no sheen, no shading here. We lost the shading in the medium on the yellow paper. 14 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, although, my goodness, what in the world, camera. Look at that. It's such a bad... even the camera doesn't like it. The smear test you probably could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. Hazel paper. Now I love this paper. I really enjoy this paper. I have gotten a huge kick out of these Noonday Brocade Pocket Notebooks by Hazel. You should try it. I'm talking to you. Whoever. Right. You should try it. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1, no feather spread, no halo, no sheen. I'm going to get rid of that last paper because the tone is really hurting my eyes. No sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 2 seconds to dry. Now the medium becomes a manageable tone. It gets much darker than the 1.1 or the extra fine or the 1.1. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 3 seconds to dry. Totally manageable as a walk-around notebook. The scrubby for both show no color variation, and we didn't get it here. And the smear test, again, it's such a light ink. It kind of hurts my eyes. I don't know that I'm ever going to use this ink again. This smear you couldn't recover. It's just such a light tone. P. Berger. P. Berger? Yeah, P. Berger. It's French rule. It's not really meant to use both sides of the page, so it's okay when it bleeds through a whole bunch like this. It spots like crazy all the way through the page. It's not show through. It's just a lot of spotting all over. The 1.1, super light. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 2 seconds to dry. Medium thankfully became a bit darker with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium both show no color variation. We didn't get any. And the smear test, you couldn't recover it if you had to. That's all that I have for the writing.
Instead of finding inks that look like Krishna's Pacha Avuri, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. And I was really wanting a nice black that was toned down, dusty even. So I went with Birmingham Pen Company's Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Krishna's Pacha Avuri? I think the shading is amazing, but for me, the tone of this green is not. It's a little too light a green for me to read a page comfortably as full notes. However, I think it is a great color to use to complement and add things in your notes with. Thanks for watching.